If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Witches be fill in the blank. Witches galore, right? The indoctrination of the youth with witches. Somehow the human mind in this country has slipped past seeing how they're constantly promoting witchcraft, witches from Harry Potter, from Disney World magic, right? You guys hear me talk about it all the time. And I'm not going to stop talking about it because it helps wake up young kids, young teens, even people who are adults who practice, or Christians who practice New Age type of witchcraft who don't even realize they're doing it with the stones and the, what do you call it, the signs, you know, people who are like, I'm a Scorpio, you know, that kind of crap. Astrology, I guess is the term that they use, and ass, I say, very non-vaguely. But here's the newest film that is out, called Witches, right? And this is a remake, because of course they have to remake Witches. Nobody even cared or watched the first one, but they want to remake it again and throw in Anne Hathaway, who of course reveals herself in the movie. It's the real look of Anne Hathaway right here, folks. Wouldn't be a surprise. Would anyone be shocked if she took off the wig and this is what we had? Cue ball? Probably not. But what's interesting to point out, I want to show you this rise of witchcraft, is the constant reference to witches hating children, to witches wanting to exterminate children. And this goes back, if you read about why witches were burned at the stake and everything else, it was because they were abducting animals and children. And now it's all folklore because they say, well, crazy Christians were making that stuff up. Yet in the movies and yet everywhere else, we constantly still hear about this type of storyline, so to speak, because this is what real witches and Satanists do. This is what Halloween and these other, the solstices and the equinoxes are about for them. But listen and watch closely. There's a few clips here from the trailer for Witches. I can't play the whole thing for copyright reasons, but you'll get the gist of it.
Witches. They're real. And they hate children.
Vad du då? Efter det för mig. Blandning all around us is so dead.
Call the exterminator.
You see, girls? He would exterminate those brats.
So it's so funny, right? To exterminate the brats instead of the rat. I mean, whoever wants to sit through this, I feel bad for you. I mean, I'd rather poke my eyeball with a razor blade, but interesting to note that Anne Hathaway is wearing her black and white Masonic colors, right? Because that's just a coincidence too, right? Where do we see? Oh, right, the Freemasons with the black and white. Well, it's not just the Masons. How about the Eastern Star, the female version of Freemasons, which I've exposed time and time again on this channel, which for some reason I've had multiple videos taken down on it because they claim it's controversial. I have no idea why. But, you know, they use the upside-down pentagram, Baphomet pentagram as their logo. They're witches, that's why. It's another recruiting ground for witches, just like Masonry indoctrinates the Freemasons as they, grow through Freemasonry and the degrees into Satanism, into different sections or different secret societies as they grow inside of Freemasonry. So you saw the black and white, obviously you saw the snake and the serpent. And if you look up the plot of this, I mean, that's the plot of the whole thing. And it's almost like, how many of these movies with witches have the same plot? Hocus Pocus, remember that? Disney was so kind to give us Hocus Pocus, and people are like, oh, I love Hocus Pocus. The plot of Hocus Pocus is the witches come back and they're going to kill kids. So if they don't before like midnight, they turn into dust. But, forget that aspect. I mean, they're pretty much making society already despise kids. Anytime I go and do a debate or I argue and go after Satanists, I ask them about children. They have the same thing. They're like, oh, they're little people. Like they don't look at them as if they're human beings. It's pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting and despicable. But these people aren't human. They're soulless. So the plot of this An 8-year-old boy is warned about witches, female demons with a boundless hatred for children who use various methods of destroying or transforming them. Oh my! Witches who want to destroy children. But we're supposed to believe that, again, witches are pagans. Halloween's about trick-or-treating. And it's all about, yay, let's get candy and dress up like, the Joker and other stuff. How about this? For if you feel this stuff is just, oh, well, it's a stretch because it's a movie about witches. This is the stuff I get from people who refuse to believe that any of this is going on. Cosmopolitan is probably, and no, not the drink, Cosmopolitan magazine is probably one of the most popular female magazines out there. Like, women read this all the time and, subscribe to it. It's like Vogue almost. They have an article out, and I've covered them before because they've had articles promoting teens and witchcraft and how, making it cool and witchcraft products that they were selling. They have one here, how to celebrate Samhain. Sorry if I say Sam Hain and people go, it's Samhain. I heard it in Halloween 2, if anyone has ever seen it, and Loomis says Sam Hain, so that's what I thought it was. I mean, it's spelt the same way, but anyway. How to celebrate Samhain, a.k.a. the Witch's New Year. Oh, you want to see something right in your face here? Listen to this. Listen how they dust it off. So you probably celebrate Halloween by dressing up in a costume or binge watching scary movies. But you know the holiday's origins? The roots of Halloween can be traced back to Samhain, an annual celebration that originated with the ancient Celts, Celts, whatever they want to call it. The Celts celebrated 8 Sabbats throughout the year, festivals that marked a turning point in nature's annual cycle, kind of like cheering in each new season, right? Get ready for it. Samhain was held October 31st until November 1st, and it represented the start of winter, the end of the harvest period, and the end of the new year. Of course, that wasn't all. There may have been some pretty dark and disturbing traditions going on related to fire and sacrifice. As you know, if you've seen The Wicker Man, on a slightly less terrifying note, because of course, they deflect right off of it. And The Wicker Man isn't even a tip of the iceberg. If you've seen The Wicker Man, I mean, there's dozens of movies that really show you, and I've covered them on this channel, what these people are about and what they do. They are soulless. But they say as Christianity's influence grew, Samhain's traditions were incorporated into All Saints' Day on November 1st. The day before it became known as All Hallows' Eve or Halloween. Some speculate that trick-or-treating began as a Samhain tradition in which children said prayers for the dead in exchange for food and money. October 31st and November 1st are days during which people have for centuries honored their dead, told fortunes, planned for the year, and celebrated what they achieved in the previous year. So that's what they want you to think that it is, because that's what they tell you that it is. But for anyone who's a real practicing witch or Satanist, it's exactly what I read in the beginning. They actually tell you it. But did you see how they deflect the wording? There may have been some pretty dark and disturbing traditions going on related to fire and sacrifice. Oh, okay. So they just stopped their traditions, and then they just said, all right, you know what? Instead of burning animals and children and all this stuff, let's just, anyone have any ideas? Anyone out there? Yes, Warlock number 2. How about we put chocolate, we give chocolate to people, they knock on door, and we put on costume. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's not far-fetched going from the traditions we're doing involving fire and human sacrifice. Now, it's a front for what Halloween's about, and it's also an indoctrination because so many people love Halloween. They love it. You know how many people comment on my videos and they're like, it's so fun, stop being a Grinch. I'm a Christian, I still celebrate Halloween. Look, I'm not telling you how to live your life or what to do. That's between you and God if you're a saved Christian, okay? I'm just telling you what really goes on Halloween. And I'm telling you, you better, when you walk around in October and you see during this time period from the 13th to the 31st, you see missing dog signs and missing cat signs. What do you think? Suddenly the dog was just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to peace out at this period of time. Or the cat, when you're feeding them and giving them love every day. They just don't report animal abductions anymore. The only time they report animals missing is during hurricanes because they want everyone to get their animal microchipped. And let's not even get into the children stuff because they won't recover it anymore. This is so common in the 80s and the early 90s that children were going missing on Halloween. What do you think? Their parents let them go loose and they were just like, let's run away from home and live in the woods because we know how to start fire from scratch and we could find food out here instead of my mom and dad making me food every day and giving me a roof over my head and a bed and a shower and a toilet with toilet paper. No, I'd rather, let's run away into the woods. Huh? No, they go missing. There's never a report of what happened to them. They end up on a milk carton, which is just not irony because of, if you've watched the videos I've done on milk and milk baths and the rituals involved in it, the Satanic Temple even dumping milk, undoing milk rituals in front of the abortion clinic. I mean, this stuff is all happening. And look at the year 2020 and how normalized this has become. There are more people who are interested in practicing witchcraft and Satanism than there are in believing in Christ. And that's because, one, the stereotype, right? What's the stereotype for Christians? Cookie cutter, sweater, bring your cupcakes to the church drive. Oh, Christians ask for money. All this kind of stuff that people, because you have the televangelists who are out there, saying, plant your money or send the money. And, Joel Osteen preaching for people to be prosperous, right? So that's the mindset. People see that and they stereotype it because all the TV shows show it. And what do they show the witches and the Satanists as? Cool, right? The rock and rollers who worship Satan. Oh, they make them look so cool, right? Well, the TV shows have the Christians in the sweaters. They look like dorks. And then they have the witches, right? They're all the good guys in the movies, or the witches, like Sabrina, the teenage witch. Oh, the good guy. Lucifer, the TV show. Oh, Lucifer's the good guy. Everything's inverted. And that's why people are led away from Christianity. And one of the biggest problems I have is that, look, I'm not perfect. And I never said I was. And I'm far from it. I got a bad mouth. My temper's not as bad as it used to be, believe it or not. Probably because my health isn't as good as it used to be. But people look at me and they go, that's not the tongue of a Christian, right? And I say, well, what is the tongue of a Christian? Because what? Because you see these nice preachers who speak softly on TV and you can't handle somebody who speaks loudly. And I'm not a minister. I am not a pastor. This is not a ministry. This is a YouTube channel that exposes darkness. I'm just a Christian guy. But people look and they go, oh, look at Carl. Carl's talking to Satanists and he's telling them off, Oh, excuse me. Maybe because when I hear the word curse in the Bible, I'm thinking of curses and actual spells because that's what it's referring to in my belief. I didn't see anywhere it says the F word or something like that is the curse word. Now, I don't use those words on my channel because there are teens listening and their parents might want to raise them a certain way. And no, I don't walk through my life cursing and spewing out of my mouth. But there's also people out there who are like, oh, somebody cursed in a video. As if they've never cursed before, or used an F word before or something like that. Anyway, I'm going off on a rant. But the point is, there is a rise in witchcraft, and there is a complete falling away in Christianity. And you see more Christians attack Christians and question, ooh, is he a real Christian? Ooh, does he believe in the same doctrine as me? Oh, does he believe in the rapture? Oh, does he believe that hell's eternal? The Satanists and the witches aren't doing that to each other. They're going after the Christians and working together. But the Christians just continue to go after each other. And then we allow the media and we allow people out there, or we end up seeing more and more people who become ministers copying what they see on TV. So they think that, okay, to be a minister, I have to dress this way, right? I got to wear a suit and tie, and I've got to be standing in front of on the altar or whatever, in front of it. And I've got to speak nicely and calmly and preach about love, right? That's the thing. It's like you got to preach about love. I don't ever hear Carl speak about love. Jesus was all about love. Yeah, well, there's also a big deception going on with love right now because the Antichrist is the one who's going to come and bring peace and love to the world, right? They're like, well, Jesus says love's your enemies. Yeah, I understand that. I get that. But to what point? Somebody's doing something to a kid. Am I supposed to go up to him, tap him on the back and be like, you know what? I forgive you. I love you. Or am I supposed to knock him out? Because guess what? The latter is what's going to happen. So witches, Satanism, the occult continues to be promoted. Obviously, this is the period now where all these movies are on TV, the horror movies. I put a documentary up on my website about, which stuff you won't see aired anymore, about the time period, about, the movies and all that stuff and the indoctrination of Halloween and trick-or-treating and all that. And a lot of people just think it's like this huge joke, and it's not. You know, it's not. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I'm telling you, this is what Halloween is about. This isn't about, getting candy and, suddenly because, you just want to dress up like your favorite movie character or whoever, that, you're not partaking in a festival or a ritual in a sense. Because, frankly, you are. And look, I trick-or-treated like once or twice when I was a kid. I didn't have a clue about this stuff. So I'm glad I know now, and I'm glad I hope I can help other people. And I'm sorry if it's something you love and now you're like, now that's ruined. But guess what? You're not supposed to love the things of this world, and that's a tradition of this world. It's not a biblical tradition. It's not something that Jesus Christ told us to go do. Satanism, folks, witchcraft, these people, they are everywhere, and they are going to indoctrinate your children over and over and over as much as they possibly can, unless we put a stop to it. As far as I'm concerned, I'll tell every witch out there where they can stick their broom. There are plenty of holes to stick them in, but there's one in particular that it belongs in. I think you know what I mean. I thank you for listening to today's show. Be aware, stay strong in your faith, and God bless all of you and your families.